Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Daily 5. Thanks, StockCharts, for inviting me back again. I'm Leslie Jouflas, and I just want to mention up front that the slides I'm going to be showing today have to do with the presentation that I'm giving for the Chartered Market Technicians Association on December 9th. And the topic is using pattern recognition and contraction and expansion phases. So there'll be a link to sign up for that. So I hope you can join me. It'll be an expanded version of what we're going to talk about today. Well, I have to also mention that I made a mistake, and last week I thought I was doing this segment and I had these airline stocks all picked out. So they've moved a little bit since then, but the principle is still the same. And we're going to do some comparisons of these stocks today. And let me tell you how I found these. On StockCharts, I went to the sector summary, and then I went to industrials, and then to the airline stocks. And if you click on that, it'll bring up a list like this of all the stocks, and make sure that you click the scooter up here so you get them in order of strength. Now, this will change. It might even change during the day, but you can keep updating it. There are other interesting stocks in the airline industry right now as well that aren't in this top list. So, and always make sure you do your due diligence, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean by that. So this list also is one when I did the Daily 5, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago on November 10th, I did the energy stocks. Those have been doing quite well, and I had to choose between those and the airlines. So today I'll cover the airlines, and here we're looking at a chart. The symbol is CPA, COPA Holdings. Now, this is what I mean by your due diligence. This had not really had any operation since March, and then recently they opened up the operations again. But, you know, without knowing that piece of information, looking at this chart, you would never have known something like that. And they are headquartered in Panama City. So again, do your due diligence with any of these charts I'm presenting. So let's walk through this here. The yellow circle up here is this gap area back from last March, and the airlines had very serious declines back then. But once they bottomed out, you can see here that doing the retracement from this low to high, there was a 618 retracement, from this low to high, 786. This is called a butterfly pattern. This is known as a reversal pattern. Doesn't always work, but in this case, it played out very, very nicely. And the RSI with this also started to climb, got that showing down here on the bottom, as the price came up as well, had a little bit of a correction, another A, B, C, D buy pattern, and then a gap up in the early to mid part of November. Now, what I'm going to be looking for with some of these stocks is a little pullback pattern, which we might see in another A, B, C, D Gartley type of pattern. But all of the airline stocks formed these kind of long ranges since March to just recently. So the next one, this is a Brazilian airline, AZUL is the symbol. And again, there's a butterfly buy pattern that was right down at the bottom, retesting those March lows. And look out how from March, look at how the RSI down here was starting to climb as the price was still coming down and forming this pattern. So there is a very strong divergence here with this stock. From there, it came up. You can see this green line here, and look at where the top of this pattern was. Look at how that held as the support line all the way from May into the end of October, early part of November. So we have a lot of gaps to the upside as this stock broke out. There's an ABCD buy pattern there. It got a little bit of a stall here at this 382 retracement, but I believe today it's up a bit higher. but I'll just adjust this Fibonacci retracement and see if this can come back down, do a retracement, a little bit of a buy pattern here. But let's move on to the next one. Mesa MESA is the name of this. And again, same type of thing. Here we have a Gartley buy pattern that contains an ABCD, a previous swing, and then the market goes into this long sideways, holding this lower end as support. The on-balance volume on this started to rise all the way back in June and kind of continued with the upward bias all the way until this breakout here where the on-balance volume now is really rising on here. Comparatively, what we just looked at on the MESA symbol chart, Alaska Airlines was showing quite a bit more strength. And we can see that where this pink dashed line is. Right back in March, the decline had started. And right here is where the RSI bottomed. And you can see as the prices still declined here, look how this RSI was starting to really climb uphill. The on-balance volume down here made the lows in March, and then it continued to move with an upward bias, a little bit of a dip here, another Gartley buy pattern. This is a classic retracement pattern. If you don't know this pattern, please come to my website, come listen to one of my presentations, and you can learn more about it. We can see there was more strength with Alaska ALK is the symbol, the way that it consolidated at higher levels here. And look at how the RSI held up here. This is holding in a bullish zone. The on-balance volume was again having a sideways but more upward bias where it wasn't declining down to the lows, and then started to really climb in early October. And then the breakout here where I have this green dashed line. Here, this one, RYAAY, Ryanair Holdings. You can see here the strength in this. This came up above the highs from early this year, early January, February this year. It came down. This is a 127 extension where it's just measuring the length where this X is up to the top of this swing, and then it projects it down. It's about 27% longer. This is a really strong fib ratio, and it caught that on the bottom, and then Ryanair has just moved to the upside, breaking to new highs. Here's a nice big gap area here that should hold. Has had a bit of a consolidation here, and again, I believe that this is up today. It was a little bit too late for me to update all of these charts just before this presentation. But here, the yellow circle here, where this breakout to new highs is, this has to hold here, this gap area. If there's any kind of a break below this gap close area, then would be having to sort of reassess this chart. But again, you can see the same common things with the RSI range and the on-balance volume. Now, there's one more chart that I wanted to show you, but I know I'm cheating and I'm getting in one extra chart. But I wanted to show you this because there was something about this that sort of caught my eye on Delta Airlines. And I wanted to show you something with this. So here, this actually has an ABCD cell pattern. I know a lot of you know these harmonic patterns and this pattern. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to point out to you that there's issues with this pattern, and it doesn't always mean that it's a good idea to actually sell this here. It's getting into this gap area, which should be resistance, but the issues with this pattern are this big gap area. This is in what's called the CD leg. It's got this big gap to the upside that's showing strength, and then it's got another little gap right here, and the price is just starting to close above this area here. So you really have to know these patterns and know what some of the warning signs are with it. So Delta's got to hold this trend line here, might get a little bit of a pullback, maybe into this gap, this area right here above this 382 line, that also should hold as support. Well, that's it for the presentation today. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you can join me at the Market Technicians Association, and I will see you on the next Daily 5.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.